welcome to our middle school back to school night for social studies. My name is Mark de Oliveira, and I am the social studies department lead here in the middle school. Your questions are very important to us. In order to be able to ask a question, you'll need to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. It looks like this. You see it right here in the black box. There's a speech bubble or two speech bubbles and a Q&A underneath it. Please, when you do open up that comment box, please only put one question per comment. You may ask as many questions as you like, but just put one in each comment. We may hold off on answering some of the questions if we know they're going to be discussed during the presentation. Also, note that if we don't get to your question during the presentation and it's come up in the feed, we will definitely get to it during our Q&A time at the end. And if there are any questions that are very specific to your child individually, please email the teachers directly so that they may answer those privately. Okay, so here's today's agenda. We will start off by introducing the members of our social studies department. We'll introduce ourselves actually. Then I'll do a little bit of an overview of social studies in the middle school. Mr. Rob Hoyseth will go in more depth about 6th grade, what learning looks like and what your child is currently working on. Then Mr. Michael Ho will do the same thing for 7th grade. After we're all done with that, we'll have a Q&A session where we hope to be able to answer any questions that may come up and may not have been answered during the web. Hello there, parents. My name is Mark de Oliveira, and I am the social studies lead here at AES Middle School. I am also a teacher. I teach both humanities in 8th grade and social studies in 7th grade. I'm beginning my 16th year of teaching this year. I'm originally from outside of Chicago. I've spent most of my life, my adult life that is, overseas, either teaching in international schools or before that I was in the Army and we were stationed in different places overseas. This is my 7th year here at AES, but I did that in 2 parts. The first part was in 2010 to 2013. The second part started in 2017 up until now. We were following my wife around for her career as a diplomat the first time. Then we went to Thailand for 4 years with her job again. And then I came back here because I really wanted to be a part of this AES community again, where they're amazing. We live in an amazing city, we live in an amazing country, and this school has an amazing group of educators to work with. My family, obviously, Jackie's a diplomat at the embassy, but my daughters, we have 2. One is a senior in college at Ithaca College studying physical therapy, and my younger daughter is a senior in high school here, hard to believe. They've both been through international schools most of their educational life, and so that's really helped inform my practice, and I think it really helps me help you as parents. Look forward to meeting you.
Hi parents, my name is Rob Hoyseth. I'll be the 6th grade social studies teacher this year at the American Embassy School. You may know my wife, Linda Hoyseth. She's the middle school, high school librarian, and this will be our 30th year teaching overseas. That's a lot. We've taught in Japan, Kuwait, Malaysia, Poland, Peru, Qatar, and now this will be our 3rd year here in India. We've also raised our 2 children overseas. My son William is an English teacher in northern Japan. My daughter Sophie just graduated from college and she got a fellowship working with local government here in southern Minnesota. We've had an exciting career overseas. I'm excited to keep going for year 30. This year I'll be teaching 6th grade social studies. It's going to be an exciting, fun year. Here I am at my house in Minnesota, but hopefully we'll be flying back to New Delhi next week, and I hope to meet you and see you all soon. Thank you.
Hello, parents and guardians. My name is Michael Ho, and I am one of the 7th grade social studies teachers this year. The other role I take in the middle school is the role of a learning support teacher. So I will be doing both of those things at the same time. This is my 3rd year in AES, and I am so fortunate to be part of this wonderful, wonderful, supportive, and amazing community. Before coming here, I worked as a teacher in Bangkok for 7 years. I am a third culture kid, just like a lot of your children are. So what that means is that I grew up in international schools around the world as well. I am really excited to be part of this social studies team and to have your child in my classroom this year. I can't wait to meet all of you in person someday, soon I hope. Thank you so much.
So let's start by taking a look at what social studies looks like in the middle school. First of all, our curriculum is inquiry-based. Essentially what that means is that we use a process that social scientists use, or in fact even scientists use, to address issues. In our cases, we're addressing the authentic issues that are coming from the content areas that we study. So what we do is we ask students to inquire, really think critically, communicate, and then sometimes even enact potential solutions. The content areas that I was just referring to are history, geography, civics, and economics. And finally, there are 3 domains under which we provide feedback on student work through our standards-based grading system in middle school. These are developing questions and planning inquiries, evaluating sources and using evidence, and communicating conclusions and planning for action. All right, so here's our quick year at a glance of 6th grade social studies. First of all the 6th grade classes are taught by Mr. Rob Hoyseth, and he's going to go in depth a little bit more in just a bit here. Overarching theme is how did we get here? We have themes in social studies that guide us through our entire year, both in 6th grade and 7th grade. And for 6th grade, here it is. How did we get here? And if you'll notice, take a close look at the unit titles. You can imagine how those units support this bigger overarching theme. All right, so let's look at grade 7 social studies. That's taught by Mr. Michael Ho and me. The overarching theme in this year-long course is communication in history, the key to understanding. These units, again, take a look at those titles: explore your world, embrace the complexity, think like a historian. You might be wondering what NHD means. I think Michael's going to go into that in just a bit here, but it's the National History Day Research Project. And then check your privilege, just to give you that overview of what our year looks like in 7th grade.
Hi parents, here's a short video all about 6th grade social studies. Here's what learning looks like in social studies. Like all of your students' classes this year, I'll be using my 6th grade social studies website. Here it is. I've got links to Google Classroom. I've got our big idea for our first unit: how did humans develop farming and civilizations? I have our essential questions, the questions we're going to be answering in this unit. Here's some of the assessments that we'll be having the students do. The biggest one, we're going to go to the library and we're going to do a short research project on inventions. We'll be starting that in about 3 weeks. Then if we scroll down, here's my weekly overview. So here are the classes for Thursday and Friday with links to all the different visuals that they'll need. And then on the right-hand side, we have our weekly checklist. So this is a great place for all of your students to come to all of their different classes to figure out what their lessons are. The other big component will be Google Classroom. I know all of your students have logged into Google Classroom. I have 6 periods, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Here are the class codes for those different Google Classrooms. If we click on Google Classes, here's what I see as the teacher. For all my different classes. It's a great place to share work, and it's a great way for me to write to the students and see how they're doing. So this is the stream page where I'll put up different announcements. And then more importantly is the classwork page. This is where we'll have our assignments. And I usually make a Google Doc for the students. The kids can click on that Google Doc. I make a copy for them. They work on it, and then they turn it in. And I can assess their work. I'll give them some notes, some helpful things to make their work better. So this is what we're going to be doing this year in 6th grade social studies. Hopefully we'll be back in Delhi. Obviously we can do a lot of this stuff in person. I also try to have the students watch CNN 10 every day, and we talk about world events and what's going on in the world today. It's always good to do that with the young adults that we have now in 6th grade. So thank you very much. I'm here to help. Email me anytime.
So I'll be talking about what learning looks like for grade 7 social studies, and just an overview of what's going to be covered this year and where are we right now. So as you can see on my slide, the year at a glance, we have an overarching theme this year in social studies, and that theme is communication in history, the key to understanding. So this theme will be related to and connected with the content of each unit throughout the year. And this is also the same theme for National History Day, which is a big part of our curriculum this year. And we'll talk a little bit about that in Unit 3. We are a inquiry-based curriculum, and we really value this for the students' learning. We want the students to constantly ask questions and connect that questions that they have to the content of what they're learning. So as you can see, in each unit, there's going to be essential questions, and that's also part of our inquiry-based curriculum. We want our students to connect that question into what they've learned. So for the first unit, we are getting the students to explore their world from their perspective. And we're going to be talking about geography and the 5 themes. Now, since this is the first unit, we thought it was really important for the students to really explore what social studies is about and what that means to them. And so we thought before, going into the different areas and the specifics of social studies, it's important for the students to get an overview of what it is. Then we want the students to really think about how can they use the 5 themes of geography to understand their surroundings. And this is really important. We know that we're a very diverse school. We have a very diverse set of kids in our class. And so they're coming from different locations and different places around the world. Sorry about that. This question will really get the kids to connect more personally. And so for Unit 2, we're moving into talking about Indian independence and partition. The theme here is embracing the complexity, and we want the students to ask how might they view the history of India from different perspectives. And so the key here is different or multiple perspectives, because we don't want the students to just understand the historic event. We want them to think about it from different angles and how that impacts our world today. Then in Unit 3, as I said earlier, it's the bulk of our learning, and that's our NHD project. And we want the students to use the research process, ask themselves, how can I use this research process to draw conclusions about a historical event? And the research process is super important here, because we're going to be talking about how to effectively support your claim with reliable sources, how to find those sources, both primary and secondary sources, how to develop a research question. And then for the last unit, we're going to be looking into checking your privilege. This is a great topic that relates to the power and privilege we see in our world today. And we want the students to ask how has their identity been shaped by culture and societal forces? And how does the power and privilege we see in our world today shape their own lives? So this is a quick snapshot of of what we're doing this year, the curriculum. I hope this is more clear for you. If there are any questions or comments or concerns, I encourage you to get in touch with either me or Mr. De La Vera. And I thank you once again for being here tonight.
And that wraps up our presentation for today. We're moving into the question and answer session. We look forward to being able to answer your questions there. Again, if you have something more particular to your student individually, please contact us directly. I'll be giving you our email addresses in the next slide. Okay, parents, so should you have any further questions that you need addressed by your child's teacher directly, do not hesitate to contact us by email. That is definitely the best way for you to reach us. Thank you for coming tonight. We'll stick around for the Q&A, and I hope that we get to meet in person someday soon here.
We have a little bit of time if anyone had any general questions they'd like to explore while we have Michael and Mark here. And of course, you can always email Rob if it's a 6th grade specific one, but I think one of these two could probably help answer it anyway. So if you have any questions, if you want to type them in now before we wrap up this session for this evening. Wow, Mark and Michael, you must have done an awesome job there, and Rob. Just looking at time here. Mark, maybe one question you might want to, in case no one has any questions. One thing that came up yesterday, I think, with the humanities, just perhaps how students in 6th and 7th grade are set up for success as they move into, whether it's humanities or into high school, like the connections between those two, because people might see two different subjects and wonder about that.
Sure thing. Yeah. So right now we're in a model where we have 6th grade and 7th grade. They take social studies and English language arts separately. We have 8th grade come together. It mostly centers around a major project that they do as they build towards high school. And what I mean by come together, they come together in humanities. So you have social studies and English language arts that are brought together in 8th grade, and they're taught by the same teacher. And so they see those students every single day, rather than 2 separate classes on opposite days. And that prepares them well because they build a big project that then moves them on to high school. So that's sort of the chain as the way things go. Sometimes you see in the middle schools that they're separate. Sometimes you see they're all together. Sometimes you'll see a mix like we have.
Thanks, Mark. I think given that we don't have any questions really that people are coming with, I think that means we've covered the big ticket ideas. I do want to remind parents that our teachers and Serena and I are here if you have questions. So if there's something specific to your child and you're a bit worried about how maybe you can support them in your social studies or anything else, just reach out to their teacher who will be getting to know your child, and they'll be able to offer you some more specific suggestions. But thank you for coming tonight. We will be posting this one. We might fix up the sound a bit before we do, but we'll post it for parents so that people that weren't here, if you wanted to go back and watch that, you could. So thank you so much for joining us. And Maureen, I'm going to ask you to wrap up our session for us.